maybe in a couple weeks I'll go in, I'll bake 100 loaves of bread, and you guys can come to the window and I'll shove you each a loaf of bread, whatever. We'll get something done. Nobody's gonna freaking starve if I have product, you know. Okay, enough of that. So let's flour, 4 cups. So I usually have a flour bag. So I usually tap it and scrape it. So I tap it, I scrape it. See? Well, 1. At the bakery, it's all in weights. It's all in weights, which makes it much more accurate, you know. Here's 2. The basic recipe is half of this, but I doubled it, and in the bakery, you know, we triple and quadruple it. And it doesn't affect my recipes. There's 3. 4. And then you add your leaveners. Now your leaveners are going to be the powder and the soda. When I say powder, I mean baking powder, not baby powder. So it's tablespoons. So it's 3 of these tablespoons right here. Okay. That's not what you want to put in. I'm just showing you. What you want to do is level it off right here. 1 tablespoon. Okay. But it's 3 of these of the baking powder. So if you're following along at home and you're trying to do this, I'll make sure I give you some time to catch up. There's 2. And I'm good at that. There's 3. Don't worry, I have a house cleaner that comes in later. She looks just like me. Yeah, you don't want to meet her. So then we're going to put the soda. And I don't mean Coca-Cola. So it's half a teaspoon of baking soda, which is a half a teaspoon right here. Again, flatten it down. Okay. Cooking, you can throw it all together, boom, 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 you know. But when it comes to baking, it's a little more precise. I can't stay clean for 5 minutes in the bakery or my area. When I produce 300 breads in 5-6 hours, you should see it's like a freaking tornado went off in there. A bomb went off, or a tornado went through, you know, however the hell you want to say it. And then your salt. It's 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So I've got the teaspoon right here. Notice I'm not pouring over the bowl. You know, this is new to me all at home. You know, I have all this stuff set up at the bakery. Maybe one day we'll take a field trip to the bakery, and people are asking me about doing breads and stuff, you know. I'm going to bake some stuff, but I'm not going to give you guys all the shit I make on a regular basis. Come on. Like certain things, you know. Like someone's like, I want your antipasto bread recipe. Well, you know, good luck with that. I can show you basic breads. I was thinking maybe we can make an Irish soda bread, and we can do a basic Italian, which you can make pizza crust out of, stuff like that. We can make it here, and we can knead it by hand. Or we can do a field trip down to the bakery, and I can show you how the big boys do it, you know, with 150 quart, 140 quart mixers and that kind of stuff. Okay, so anyway, my leaveners are all mixed in. Are you all catching up now, see? And then we're going to do, it's 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of shortening. So I have unsalted butter. Someone asked me about unsalted butter versus salted. Well, in the recipe it calls for salt, so you really don't want to have salted butter. And if you did, you could omit the salt. But it's going to affect the chemical reaction, 1. And 2, you can omit the salt, but the butter may still be too salty. You know what I mean? Or not salty enough. So just get unsalted butter and use salt and use the salt in the recipe. So I'm basically making 4 sticks. And these are going to be tablespoons. It's by eye. You can do it on the butter itself. Has a little package. It has the teaspoons and everything in there. So I'm taking the butter and I'm going to add it to the flour. Now another way to do this, with a food processor, you can drop the flour in the food processor and cut the butter in. But it's such a small amount. So see, I'm breaking it up a little bit with my hands. This is the butter. So it's dispersing in the flour. So now we're going to grab 4 tablespoons of shortening. 1, 2. And in a perfect world, I wanted to have some 3. I wanted to have some biscuits made already so we could do the breakfast and everything. So what I'm going to do is, once we get them formed and everything, then we're going to put them in the oven and we'll take a break and you guys can do what you do and we'll come back. And I'll go live again. And when they come out, maybe we'll make an egg sandwich or something like that. So I have these bowl scrapers. And this one, I have a few of these kind at the bakery. They're a little bit bigger and they're really firm. I use these for all my scones. I use these for anything I'm doing where I'm cutting the butter in, you know, like the butter and the shortening. So I'm just going to get this going. So see how I'm cutting it in? I'm just going to chop it all in nice. So it breaks down nice in there. You're going to want it to be all about pea-sized. Kind of like pie crust. Now when I make a big batch of pie crust at the bakery, I put all the flour, then the salt, then I use butter and shortening, but I cut the butter first with a dough hook. Very long time in the mixer. Big mixers. And then I add the shortening. And you can't go too much longer after you add the shortening or it'll get so combined that it almost looks like you put your water in at the end. With pie crust, it's water. This will be buttermilk. Again, if you don't have buttermilk, I have quarts I get. I always find them in different stores if I can't find it. If my suppliers are out. Sometimes my suppliers have been out of things too lately, you know. So we're cutting this all in. As soon as I catch up here a little bit and get this made, I'll answer any questions. I'll look and see. I can't see everything like this, you know. Maybe I'll need my glasses. You're very welcome to the Congregational Church. One of my things that I talked about when I started this business was I came from a supermarket bakery and they threw away so much stuff that I was not going to feed farmers, I was going to feed people. And that's what I do, I feed people. I've been feeding people long before the pandemic. It was one of my goals. We're going on, actually June, is it 9th or 12th? June 9th will be 8 years in business at the bakery. And this is the first time we're going to be ever closed this long, you know, ever. Okay, so you see what I got here? You see? It's all crumbly, nice. I mean, if you feel like you want to add a little more butter, I think like it needs a little more. These are all, you know, by feel, you'll know. I'm going to get a little more chunkage in there. That and a little bit more. So it's another tablespoon or so of each. Going to break it into it. And it's been so long since I made a tiny recipe like this. But see, this is a little better. See, it's got a lot more chunks. Perfect. I did notice that when I'm the only one baking, it's a lot less stress because it's hard to teach people your gift. It's hard to have people that can make your gift like you can, you know. Okay, see, that was a little bit better. So remember I did by eye at the beginning. So see what I'm getting? I'm getting it nice. Now I'm going to start working it together, see. A good biscuit is a not very needed biscuit. Sorry, it's not needed. We need you. We need you all. So anyways, okay? There it is. If this freaking biker can do it, you can do it too. So now we're gonna cut our, I clap for myself too. We're gonna cut our buttermilk in. Always shake buttermilk really good because it gets all clumpy on the bottom. Oh yeah, buttermilk. So you can take a quart of this and add like 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, of vinegar, of regular milk, a quart of regular milk, and let it sit on the counter. And put your lemon juice or your vinegar in, and it will curdle, and it will curdle over time. And then you make your own buttermilk. If you don't have milk, I have milk powder at the bakery. I bought like 100 pounds of milk powder. So if we run into jam, we can still make muffins, things like that. I was thinking about making the muffins with everybody too here. So anyways, liquid measure, dry measure. If you work in a bakery, you should probably know the difference. 2 cups. I'm just going to grab a little more flour here. I myself brought a 50-pounder home too. And I have 1 piece of bread that I took out of my freezer. Like I had no bread. So I'm going to have to make some bread somewhere here. Anyways, so I have the flour now. The flour is for dusting, okay? Sorry, break time. Cheers. Okay, so 2 cups. It looks like a lot for this. I don't want it to be wet. You don't want it to be so wet that it's a sticky mess, and then you would have to scoop the biscuits. I like a cut biscuit we use a cutter, a can, a mug, whatever, to cut it, okay? So I'm not going to add all this at once. I'm going to add, it looks like a lot to me. Like I said, this is a small recipe. I haven't done this size, and I didn't do a trial one. So I'm going to put about half the buttermilk and cut it in and see where I stand, okay? Because you can always, you know the saying, you can always add more you can't take out. So you see how I'm cutting it into the dough. When I see people take my pie crust and they make it into a big ball and they go like this and they go like this and they go like this and then they're rolling it out, I freak because you need to just take it and flatten it and then roll it out. It's already flat. It's not a big ball, you know. My pie crust, well, we took the cover of Connecticut Magazine. I took Best Pie in USA Today for the United States. We took Connecticut. And I was just about to change my recipe. I was getting sick of it. And then I hit those 2 awards. And, you know, those pies have been winning awards since I started baking in the 90s, commercially. So, see, it's still dry. So I'm going to add a little bit more. It's pretty sweet. I got like 150 viewers. Thank you. So you see it's getting a little more sticky now. There is no shortcuts to perfection. I tell people this all the time. If you want it right, use the best ingredients, first of all. And remember I said I was going to add a little bit of sugar, so now it's getting mixed. I'm adding that like tablespoon of sugar. See? See the bottom's still a little bit crumbly? But this is about all I want right here. And I'll show you why. Take a little flour. So I used almost all of it. Flour your surface. Now it's ready when I get my hands in this. I need it. See, I really need these. So you see I'm just flattening it and pulling it together. I'm just kind of flattening it in there and pulling it together. I'm taking the sticky sides and I'm picking up the rest. See why we doubled it? I mean, this makes nothing. So I would quadruple this if you wanted enough for your family for the week. So instead of the 4 cups of flour, I'd be doing 8 cups. That's because it originally started with 2 cups. Okay, so see, I've picked it all up. You don't even really need a rolling pin with this. So let's say I dumped it on the table. Now I'm going to make it what I want here. You see how it's very crumbly and dry? Just take it with your hands and go like this. Okay? Keep the flour. Flour is your friend, but don't go too crazy. Now I got a nice size rolling pin. Leaving that one right there. And moving along. I don't want to go much. You know, you can flatten it with your hands. You don't even really need to use the pin. Okay? Being the biker baker, I got big hands and it helps in the bakery. So, this is like a 3.5 cutter, 3.5 looks like. So I'm gonna, you want them thick. They're gonna rise a little bit. Look at that, excuse me. I'm not gonna swear at all. Look at this freaking beautiful biscuit. So, when it hits the oven, it's gonna come up about this high. Oven is preheated at 325. It would be like I use a convection at the bakery, so it's 25 off, but 325 is good because I don't want to burn the bottoms. Home ovens, I brought the rack up to the middle, but home ovens are notorious for burning the bottoms of everything, if you ever noticed, because your rack is so low for the near the heat. Okay, so see, I'm cutting as close as I can. Okay, so I've got those 4, 6. Right now I have 7. These are good heavy biscuits. They're not a rubber biscuit. Now you see how I have these pieces? I don't want to take that and mangle it into a big ball and make it all overworked. So I'm just pulling the pieces together, see? Getting them back to the thickness I want. You know, this reminds me of like cooking at home with like Julia Child and stuff, right? Don't I remind you of Julia Child? But I met Julia Child. I was working in a bistro in Harvard Square at one point as a pastry chef. And for one of the top French chefs in the country, top 10, I worked for Raymond Ost and Sandrine's Bistro. And I met some pretty important, cool food business people there. Anyway, so I'm making these out of the extras. So see? So I've got another 2 out of that. And you see what I've got here? It's the same when I do the English buns. I bring it all together. Look, I'm going to make one more out of this. These are times where we don't waste, you know, because... And a lot of the recipes I want to show you guys is going to be stuff, you know, like kind of back to the old days. Baked beans and things that you can store shit and have beans in your fridge forever. I mean, in your cupboard forever, you know what I mean? And then you make them for your family for the week or whatever. They came out all right. They're a little hard. I'm going to try cooking them again today. The flavor was awesome, though. So the last one, okay? So, I don't know if you have parchment. I can always get people parchment paper. I have full sheets I get, and I cut this one to fit a small half sheet pan. I use real sheet pans at home. So we're going to drop the biscuits, no pun intended, on the sheet pan, see? So they're going to go about 15 to 20 minutes. You want them to be lightly brown. Biscuits don't get dark, you know, they're kind of white when you see them. So then you can take these tonight and you can make strawberry shortcakes. So after they're baked, you cut them in half. And you take the macerated strawberries, you cut them up, you know, and you mix some sugar in there. And if you add a little water, if you have to, for juice. And then soak the juice all into these things. Are you kidding me? And then make your own whipped cream. Don't buy that processed shit. So that gave us 10 biscuits. What do you think? Not bad, right? I'm all self-taught, you know. I call it self-made from scratch. I came from the streets. I changed the I in biker to the A in baker. And I kind of changed my life because I was like headed to jail and there was some crazy things. I was fighting a lot. It was a different time then, you know. But you know, and reggae music and baking and has made me to where I am now, relaxed and, you know. So in this fucking time and era, excuse me, it's good to be baking and to relax and back to your roots and things, you know. So we're gonna pop these in the oven. I've got my rack about halfway up. I don't have it on the lower part of the oven, middle. And I'm gonna set my timer. For 10 minutes. And then I'm gonna check them in 10 and turn them. And in 10 minutes when I check them and turn them, then I can see if I need 5 more minutes or if I need 8 more minutes. You know, it's all good. So these are great to have. Why? Because you like this after. I like to make messes. I don't really like to clean them. So I kind of clean as I go, and then I don't have such a hell later. So that's the buttermilk biscuit. You know, pretty simple, right? I mean, it's more in the process than anything. You can give people the same ingredients and the same recipe, and it's going to come out 700 different ways, you know. The King Arthur flour that I'm getting from people is an all-purpose. It's called special flour. I use it on for my organic breads, like the rye and multigrain, anything like that. It's organic rye flour and everything. But for my white breads, a lot of times the organic flour doesn't come in, or it's not as good. This King Arthur is an all-purpose. I use it on my scones. I use it on breads. I use it on a lot of things. And it's non-GMO, top-of-the-line flour. So any questions? What do we got here? Love this. Go Bill, Tori. Thank you. Teresa, thank you. You're welcome. Temp of the oven. Right now I have it at 325 because I don't want to burn the bottoms. You know, maybe even 300 after we check it. Yes, Paula, thank you. So, what else? I was nervous for a minute. But I think what I want to do is look in my cookbook. So I have an old recipe file here, and I have one, you know, at the bakery, and look at it and pick out stuff that I haven't made in a long time, or things I don't make all the time, so we can make it here and check it out. And then I want some feedback. I want feedback on times. You know, this was a little early for me. I'm usually up at 4 o'clock. Today I slept till 6. Don't ask me why. I don't know, but probably because I had pressure. But anyways, I wanted to see what the best time, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, because I was thinking the afternoons, and forget about evenings, I'm tired then, and mornings are my best time, but maybe afternoon. I was selling flour. I'm going to try to buy some extra. I put an order up. It had to be in by 3 o'clock. So I'll get extras, come at 2 o'clock on Friday. It's between 12 and 2. We've really got to practice the social distancing, though I don't want it to be a mess, because if it is, I won't do it anymore. Come get your flour, yeast, whatever, and I hope that I won't run out. I've been buying a few extra bags. I'm not a hoarder, but I plan accordingly. I've been buying a few extra bags every week. So I've got some, you know, I'm trying to build up some. And so I'll have extras. And I think I'll do it again next week, you know, as long as my supplier is not telling me that they're getting low on stuff, you know. But I'll try to keep everybody with bread, you know. My home restaurant. Okay, let's talk about that, because I was thinking, what am I going to do with 12 fucking biscuits, you know, or a pot of beans, or, you know. Then I was thinking maybe I can drop them at somebody's porch if somebody's hungry and in need, you know. However, we can figure something out with it, you know. My dog's not going to get all those biscuits. So we're all in this home lockdown. I guess, you know, I figure this is a good idea for now, you know. But so anyway, all feedback's good. Powdered milk. What about powdered milk? I have some at the bakery. I can order some, I'm pretty sure still. I'll find out. I'm going to talk to my supplier today. Did you guys make this too? Yeah, we're going to do bacon, egg, and cheese on them. Did I say what? I have parchment paper? Yes, I can order extra parchment paper. I think I can sell some of what I have this week, or just give you guys some if you're coming in, okay? It's all about taking care of people, you know. People fighting over toilet paper. That's why we did the Bread for Humanity. Part of when I changed my ways was I changed the ways I look at things and everything, you know. It's the silver linings, you know. Yeah, we could sit at home and bitch all day about it, or we could just continue on, you know. I'm going to ride along with it for a minute and see what happens. There's some weird stuff going on out there. I'm not one of those crazies, but I just keep your eyes open. That's all, you know. But in the meantime, we'll be baking some good stuff. So later, I guess we'll take a break, and when these come out, I'll go live again, and then from there we'll I guess we'll make the whipped cream and the strawberries, and we'll do that for them. And then because we all know how to make bacon and eggs for it, I hope, you know. We can make that later when I'm hungry. But amounts are okay. We'll go over that again. That recipe was I wrote it all here as a cheat sheet. So if you can screenshot this, 4 cups of flour. It was 3 tablespoons of baking powder. It was 1.5 teaspoons of soda. It was half teaspoon of soda, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar. It was 4 tablespoons of butter and 4 tablespoons of shortening. But remember, we added a little more to that. So 4 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, which you can omit or add more however sweet you want them, you know, or you can add pepper or cheddar or whatever, jalapenos, 4 tablespoons of butter, but I would say probably a stick, which is 4 tablespoons, okay. It was like a stick. I think I took a little less when I first did it, so, you know, just make sure you get enough pea size in there. It's not too floury, that's all, okay, you know. Recipes are good, but the baker inside is what makes you good or not. If you can't go beyond a recipe a little bit and look at what you want and know the consistencies and things you want, that's what makes a good baker, you know. And again, we didn't use all the buttermilk. So I didn't add it all at once. You don't want something you don't have to knead together. You have to kind of knead it together a little bit. Just like a scone, a good scone, you're never going to have a sticky, wet scone. So many people overdo the mixture in scones. Maybe we'll get scone this week too, you know, like the shirt says, see? And then you gotta see these. You don't want to mess with them much when they're in the first process. But we're 3 minutes left of the 10, but look how much they're rising. And they'll be soft and so perfect they'll just split right in half, okay? So let's take 5 and like 10-15 minutes we'll come back live again, all right?